Hello?
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, I have a question about absolutely divine simplicity from a Shia perspective.
Okay.
I was talking to my Iranian Shia friend, and he said that Allah reveals himself through intermediary created principles like the imams or the created logos.
Yeah, and it just moves the problem back a step. So I was listening to all of Dr. Khalil's talk on all of that, and everything that he was critiquing the other positions for, he's in the exact same boat, because if Gabriel gets the revelation from Allah and then Jibril makes it accessible to the humans, Jibril is still a creature. So how is he getting these uncreated words?
Well, they don't believe it's uncreated. Like Shias, they'll say that, for example, the Quran doesn't. It can be corrupted in their religion. That's what they believe.
No, but I'm saying that I'm not talking about the book. I'm talking about the revelation from the eternal scroll or whatever, to that Jibril is the problem is between Allah and Jibril. It's the same problem because Jibril is a creature.
So are you saying that, like, how does Jibril ground this knowledge?
The problem, so if you watch Dr. Khalil's lecture where he critiques the Ash'ari and the Wahhabis and all of that, he talks about the different positions, and he says that the way that the Ash'ari, I'm going from memory here, the way the Ash'ari discuss it is that they don't believe that Allah has parts, but they do believe that there's this uncreated Quran. And so how is there an uncreated Quran that's other than Allah? And so my point is just simply that if he believes that there's an that there's an eternal tablet, then it's still, there's still a gap between the uncreated, whether it's from Allah to the tablet or whether it's from the tablets to Jibril. The problem still remains, if there's nothing like Allah, then how do you get any point in this chain of a created similarity to the uncreated?
Yeah, that's what I asked him, and he, I guess, prevaricated. I tried forcing an analogical predication, which would contradict his ADS.
Right.
But he kept on saying that the action is only done through the imams from all of creation, and that these are created effects and they're not like Allah.
Well, a created effect is not like the uncreated, so it just begs the question.
When I tried saying, like, for example, is Allah's knowledge uncreated? How do you share this? How do you share a similarity to what knowledge Allah has revealed to you? He appealed to the logic of Dionysius and said, well, Allah is not lacking in knowledge. He surpasses it to the extent that he's not lacking, but it's sort of overflowing in him, and it's a sort of super knowledge that cannot be compared.
Well, how does he know that, though? I mean, he would have to have access to the thing that he says is in question.
It's in his, I'm pretty sure it's in the Shia hadiths and in the imams.
No, but I'm saying that you can appeal to that, but that's still begging the question that how do we know that it's actually matching up to the thing that's beyond?
Yeah, there's no predication for them. It's all apophatic.
So, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say is, like, you can't have a totally apophatic system. At some point, you're going to have something cataphatic to be able to speak about it. But they've already sort of shot themselves in the foot with either their Shia ADS or just the, Quran 42, that there's nothing like Allah.
Okay. I guess I'll have to investigate it a little bit more to explain it to him. But do you have any books critiquing this sort of Neoplatonism and ADS in general that you can, or just online resources in general?
I mean, all the Orthodox Church Fathers, I mean, especially the Cappadocians, like when they're responding to Eunomius is a Neoplatonist. So every argument for the essence-energy distinction is by default an argument against the ADS, Neoplatonic, Shia, Roman Catholic position.
Yeah, I've seen some of these quotes, but honestly, I think that only really maps onto like a worldview where there's Christian presuppositions. You know what I'm saying? Where like there's a common sort of revelation that doesn't really exist in the Muslim worldview.
Well, okay, but I'm saying, but what I'm saying is that the way that we go about critiquing Neoplatonic movements and presuppositions is more than just. I mean, there's internal problems with those positions to begin with. For example, when the last time Dr. Khalil came on here, or some of his students, they were actually arguing that it's not Neoplatonism, it's actually from the Quran. And I'm like, So the Quran didn't get this from the positions that were centuries prior to the Quran? No. I mean, which I think is kind of retarded. So just ask your friend if he believes, like, in other words, it's cribbed. Like, most of Islam is cribbed. And so whether it's Islam, whether it's they're cribbing from the Talmud or from Christianity or from Orthodoxy, or with the Shias, they're cribbing from Neoplatonism, and they'll even kind of admit this. But then when you ask them if it's borrowed from Neoplatonism, they're like, no, it's from Allah. It's from the Quran. So it's like, how is it from Allah and the Quran if it came from Plotinus centuries earlier?
You think it could be similar to like a logos spermaticos sort of like semi-perennialism thing?
They didn't try to argue that. Maybe they could go that route, but no, they were actually just saying that no, it's not actually from Plato, and it's like
they say it's original.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. The Shias that I talked to, they don't say that.
Well, maybe this was just like misinformed students of his or something. I don't know, but
all right.
But I mean, but still, like, the point would still stand. Like, even if that's the case, then was that revelation from Allah prior to the Quran? And I mean, did Allah get corrupted? Did Allah's words get corrupted? I thought Allah's words can't get corrupted.
They don't believe that, actually. Like, they say that the Quran in some places has been like burned or taken out or added to.
Right, I understand that the Shias will admit that, but what I'm trying to say is, like, then at what point is it the true revelation? They're going to say it's the eternal tablet, right?
Yeah, so there's like no consistent.
Okay, so but how do I know where's the access to the tablet? Where does that come from? Where do we get that?
The infallible imams.
Well, how do I know what the infallible imams are, and how am I supposed to know and follow them? It's just moving the problem, like, from one created thing to another created thing to another created thing. It's like just kicking the can down the road in terms of epistemology.
All right.
Anyway, good questions. Yeah, I'm not super well read on the Shias, but I'm not. I mean, you could critique Neoplatonism on just the way that we would critique Platonism. Like, why is there what is the emanation from the one, and like, why is it of a lesser diminished status? And, you know, like Platonism, like, how do we know that the one is ontologically superior to the many? That's a Hellenic presupposition that is just stated and asserted. How do we know that that's the case? Because the system rests on these kinds of metaphysic assumptions, which are all from Hellenism. And then they'll just turn around and be like, no, it's not from Hellenism, it's from the Quran. So I just don't know how you go about something like that. But aside from all these metaphysical disputes, like, did anybody just watch the Dr. Khalil Sam Shamoon debate? I mean, Sam Shamoon demolished him. So, X-Trip, what's up?